If you want a show that is thrilling, it's a little bit psychological, it's got this nice mystery adventure, where instead of solving crime and putting the bad people behind bars, you instead let the people who have been wronged get their revenge, and then you cover up the crime so no one can figure out what has happened. Moriarty the Patriot is the show for you, and Production IG has pulled every source it has, every resource it could possibly throw into delivering one of the best mystery anime I think I have seen. While nothing is ever going to live up to the classic Sherlock Holmes books, and honestly they are some of the best literature out there, they are mysterious, you don't know where they're going to go, the clues are there so you can piece it along together with Sherlock Holmes. At the end of the day, there's very few shows, and honestly especially anime, that can live up to the name that honestly this series has built for itself. But I am very happy to say that Moriarty the Patriot has delivered what I've been thirsty for so long, because honestly, once or twice a year, there's a Sherlock Holmes anime. Whether they make them dogs, whether they try to make it serious and fail and just fall flat on its face. But this is the first time I can honestly say that I saw the idea of a Sherlock Holmes style story, and I thought it looked interesting and different. And while it's not perfect, and while there definitely is room for improvement to maybe allow you to piece together the clues a little slower and a little more subtly than what you got in this episode, I honestly was happy through and through. And the revenge angle towards the end of the episode definitely caught me off guard and went more extreme than I thought they were going to. I think one of the appeals that Sherlock Holmes has is that you are able to piece it together alongside Sherlock Holmes, and I think what happens is because each book is basically a crime more or less, so there's a lot more room for slowly piecing together clues, where with this episode it's a crime where apparently boys are going missing, young little boys are going missing, and they're being tied up and sold off to some horrible rich noble, and yeah, bad things are happening, and over the episode very quickly but surely, you have Moriarty who realizes where he can go, and he stands in the strip and he realizes that, oh, this window just so happens to pierce down to where this homeless kid would have been, and he starts piecing together, like, how would someone basically choose which boys they would kidnap and do whatever it is they are doing. And it's basically whatever you see time and time again is what your eyes are going to want, and you piece it together of like, oh, if you went to this tailor, you went to this barber, you went to this watchmaker, and it kind of spirals out of control and pieces it together. What is the one clue that doesn't make sense? Why would you go after a homeless kid? Well, if you just so happen to have a rich, noble bar-like hangout spot and a window peers down to the street where that kid is, that also is how your eyes could want something that you see time and time again. And when there's only one person who sits at that window more or less, it's very easy to kind of confront and just shove it in his face and watch him just fold like a house of cards. And it's really nice how, even though it isn't the most high-quality, crazy mystery you're ever going to see in a Sherlock Holmes series, there's enough there that it does feel like you can follow along, and it's not like things are coming from left field. A lot of times these mystery anime, they fall victim to, you can't piece it together alongside the character solving the crime. It feels like they have a superpower of reading minds that the viewer just doesn't, and you're like, okay, you're coming to this conclusion, and there's nothing that I can follow along. When Moriarty is talking, and as he's saying these things, you're agreeing with him, you're like, yep, that makes sense, and as I was watching, even though it was only briefly, because it is such a short mystery, I was able to kind of follow along and kind of jump ahead before he said some of the things that he was solving, and as the episode was going, it just felt really good. So I was actually kind of wondering to myself, how far were they going to go in with the Moriarty angle, this whole anti-hero crime consultant? What could you really do to shock me? And the idea of giving a lonely father revenge for what has happened to his son, because in this horrible world, as Moriarty says, it's a bad world, where what you want to do is considered a crime. Someone who's hurt your boy, who will maybe go behind bars, and even then, because of his status, might not even get punished. You can't take your revenge, but I got a cigarette, he's tied up, do what you gotta do, and we're gonna cover up the rest. And when he comes out, he's bloody, and he's clearly savagely, brutally killed. I love the idea of this because I think everyone more or less has had these thoughts where you look at certain crimes and you say they got 20 years behind bars, they got 5 years behind bars, they didn't go to jail at all, and you know they're guilty. And you think, how does someone like that get to walk free? Or that's the punishment for the horrible, horrible crimes they have committed. While it does go against the morals of society, you can't help but kind of want to agree with someone like Moriarty when you see something like this. And It's not like he's making the wrong call in this case, but you also say, if you do it here, eventually you're going to grow very used to just saying this is a bad person, they deserve to die, or allow someone to get revenge. And what happens is you give someone revenge and you frame the wrong person, and there's always these ways that it could go very, very bad. But in this case, I think it's crystal clear that royal got exactly what he deserved, and it was very satisfying to see justice finally served. While it will probably spiral eventually out of control, and maybe he'll make these wrong choices. It'll be interesting to see where Moriarty the Patriot going to go in terms of, is everything he's going to do right bang on the nose, or is he going to do things wrong? When is Sherlock Holmes going to be introduced to kind of like combat him, right? I mean, that's always the classic, and it'll be interesting to see it from an opposite set of eyes, because it's always through Sherlock Holmes, his mortal nemesis, Moriarty. You can never catch him, and he's always doing things, right? So it's going to be very fun to see that, and I just think Production IG, they went all out visually. It was stunning. There was this very noir and just horrible gothic feel at times. The smoke, the red eyes, it was just horrifyingly beautiful. And the general presentation, it was crisp, it was polished, it felt like classic back in the day, and you wanted to look at it, you wanted to soak in the environment and the culture. And honestly, the music was probably the start of the production. Towards the end of the episode, they just drop the beat and they go all out, and I'm like, okay, I wasn't expecting this, but it's pretty damn catchy. But the actual instrumentals throughout the episode, it's mysterious. They got nice sound effects to them. It just builds that atmosphere as you're solving the mystery alongside Moriarty. And honestly, this was one of my favorite first episodes of the fall season. It just sucked me in. I thought it was going to be great, but it blew my expectations out the water. I think because of that end scene, I think this is going to be a show a lot of people are going to catch up with. Had they not went as brutal as they did, I don't think the anime community would have been as hooked, because they would say, oh yeah, it's good, but it's not going to get a lot of buzz. But because of that shock factor, not only is it going to hook in those people who want that shock factor to be able to hype it up, it's also going to hook in those people who are like, this is actually a shock factor for a good narrative reason, giving justice, but also what's the cost of that justice? Are you going to make the wrong calls in the future, right? There's a lot of ways for it to go good or bad, and honestly, the sky's the limit for Moriarty the Patriot. I think there's very few times you can point out in an anime season of an anime being mysterious and great and just psychologically thrilling, but I think this is going to steal the show this season, and honestly, I doubt we're going to see something that's going to compete for probably a couple of seasons for sure, because you don't get too many where they try to be a detective mystery, kind of psychological thriller, maybe even a little bit of a horror, all wrapped up into one. And I think Sherlock Holmes is honestly the best template to use, but for whatever reason, these Sherlock Holmes anime, for as many as we get over the past few years, they just aren't interesting. They're generic, and the best you can say are sometimes that they're funny because they make a funny comedy version, but it's like, that's not what this series is known for. It's known for its brilliant mystery and how you can solve alongside the characters themselves, and I think there's really good possibilities for future cases, and I hope there's going to be like double episodes where the mystery carries over. Maybe there'll be a big mystery throughout the entire season that he's not going to be able to solve till the end. I don't know. I think there's a lot of possibilities to really shock and awe, and I don't think this is going to be a one-hit wonder. First episode's great, the rest of them are mediocre. I think this is going to be continuously amazing, and goddamn am I excited for more. I really enjoyed my time with the first episode, and I'm so excited to see future episodes down the line. This was just the pre-screening. The official release for episode 1 comes out this coming Sunday, so we're going to have to wait about a week and a half, give or take, before we can actually watch the next episode, but I'm excited to see more. Let me know your thoughts and feelings though down below. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Your favorite moment? And how excited are you for episode 2 when we do get it in the coming weeks? Be sure to leave a like to show your support and hit that subscribe button if you have been new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.